Hi, this is Dina with Pretty Productive. Welcome back to my channel. Today what I'm going to be doing is talking through my 2024 total budget and then how I set up 2025. So this is a project I do every year, and what it does is it helps me to determine how to set up my budget for the next year. So I am using the Erin Condren Deluxe monthly planner. And I do have this zoomed in so you can see it. I have been trying to screen record the spreadsheets, and if I can get it done before I post this video, I'll be happy to insert it, but it's just struggling with technology today. So what I do is I take my 2024 actually by month, by category, and I transfer them into the back of this planner. So when I look at this and I start to set up my budget, I look at my variable expenses and what were they for that month in the prior year. Some things I actually go through and I know that, like, for an example, my medical insurance renews in September. It's been going up on the average about 15 to 20% every year, which is just amazing. And so I know, like, that was my number last September, so I'm going to take another 15-20% on top of that, and then I'm going to put in that number into my new budget for the year. So this is kind of where I start. I did set this up using a kit from my shop, which is my yearly budget. And so basically it has the strips, the headers, things like that. I do total it up by month. Now this is not including sinking funds or my cash envelopes, anything like that. This is purely my fixed expenses that I have to pay no matter what. Then I'll add in my annual expenses, which are property taxes, insurance, car insurance, things like that. Some bills that only come out once a year. Subscriptions are things that I always feel like are flexible. If I want to, cancel them or whatever, they'll go here. And then I'm kind of still working through how I want to do sinking funds. I have some that are, kind of my every single month. Those are like birthdays, Christmas, things like that. So I'll probably set those up here. Then I have other ones I set up basically seasonally. So that might be something else I add to this page. And then because when I ordered this planner, I did not order the extra pages in the back, which I always have in before. I have cut these out of prior books and kind of just stuck them in here. So I need to find more books that have some blank pages and cut them and add them in here because I do need additional ones. What I'd like to set up is this spread in the back for 2025, so I can just every month write those in so that when at the end of the year and I go to my new book, instead of rewriting all of this, I'll just pull these out of here and put them into the new book. So but I do need some more blank pages for that to happen. And then once I add all this up, then I come up with an average annual budget. So for an example, when I add up all of my electricity bills from 2024, divide that by the 12 months, I wish it was $26, it's $260. So I always feel like if I budget $260 a month, I'm going to have excess in the months where my bill was much lower. So for an example, in January, my bill was only $155. So I could budget, about $155 and probably be pretty much on. But if I budget $260, then the excess will go into helping to protect myself in these months where it went much higher. So August $460, July $419. We had a record-breaking heat in October. I was not expecting that, so it went to $369, which normally October it's much lower. So that helps me to kind of average out the bills in myself versus doing like the program that they do. So that's kind of how I look at my bills. Like for water, I'm always around 89, some months higher, some months lower, but I know that if I pretty much budget 89, I'm going to be okay. Southwest gas, I do a little bit differently because we do have a lot of gas appliances. During the winter time, our heat is gas. Not that it gets super cold in Phoenix, but it does go up. You can see in here for the winter months, January was 88, February 112, then 72, and then it goes down to like a low of 26, 22, 27. as we're going back into the winter time. So, so for an average, that's my average. I kind of do on this one, I just budget as an actual. So all my other bills are pretty much the same. They may go up $5, $10 based on price increases. So this one is going to be a big one right here. So for my husband and I are both retired. We are not yet of Medicare age, so we do pay our insurance out of pocket. And our current monthly is $1,838. We paid a total of $22,000 for medical insurance last year. In September, it will probably go up. So I just put a note here that in September, I put a little plus there. Our auto insurance and our homeowners insurance are paid August 1st. They have also gone up every year. So I just put August with a plus. So I average it out. I'm kind of overfunding these, so I may have a little extra. So I already kind of am looking at that higher rate when I decided what I was going to pay per month. So for auto insurance, we pull out $352 a month for that, and for our homeowners, and that includes our umbrella policy, at $136. We also pay our property taxes outright because our house is paid off. I pull out $400 a month for property taxes when the average really should be $352. So our property taxes have pretty much stayed the same, which is surprising. But those are due in March and in end of September. So I always want to be prepared for those bigger annual bills. We do save money by paying these annually versus monthly. So that's kind of why I started to do it that way. And then everything else is pretty much the same every single month. You know, streaming services may go up $1 or $2. Our HOA just went up, so I don't think it's going to go back up again, but I do pull out $105 a month for that, when really the average should be $98. But again, overfund it, prepare for those price increases. So that is how I calculate my budget. So when I am done with this part of it, these are the two spreadsheets that I use, and this is just an Excel file. The reason why I do it this way is, one, I'll have a hard copy on my computer, but also it does the math for me, so it adds it up across the month when I put in my actuals, and then divides it by 12 to give me an average for the month. This is really how our annual bills flow. So like property taxes, you see when they're due, but I do pull them monthly. Little things that are really like no big deal, but just don't want to be surprised by them, like tax prep. This year we paid in October because we did a file extension. Next year, hopefully that won't happen. I'll pay it in April. The only subscription service I have left is Coffee Monster Co. And then like a Capital One fee is due in December of $95. So just never wanting that to surprise me. And then things that I fund year round, like Christmas. So when I took this information, kind of gauged it for a little bit of a price increase, that got me to my 2025 monthly bills. So I'm going to bring you in a little bit closer and hopefully keep this in focus for you. So I know that this is kind of a smaller spreadsheet. Let me pull you in a little bit more. Okay, I'll try to screen record, but again, technology has not been my friend today. So I take the months across, of course, and then I take the 260. You saw where I got that number from, and I just take it all the way across. That means this year, pretty much it'll be equal in my electricity. Now, I already know they've asked for a rate increase, so that may happen. I'll just have to readjust these numbers. So pretty much I just took every number that was an average and I plugged it in. When you look at insurance, which is right here, I think it's going to go to $21.13 in the month of September. So I just went ahead and calculated that out and, adjusted my budget for that. There's some other things that are good things that are happening that I've already adjusted for as well. And then these are my current costs. Like right now I have some of these things on pause, but I'm assuming that I'll pick them back up again. Then with those are my total fixed expenses. So per month, for the month of January, I think my total fixed expenses will be $3,488. Then I look at what I call my lifestyle, which are my cash envelopes, will total $2,320. That's about an average for me. And then I look at what I pull out for sinking funds, and that would be a total of $3,013. And that's just taking all of the expenses that I know about and dividing it by month on what I want to pull out. So that comes to a total of $8,821. My income is $7,876. So I have a difference of $945. So this is where the problem happened. I wanted to save $800 a month, which obviously I cannot do that with this income that we have right now. So my husband and I both pull a pension. I do work sometimes, and that's never been money that I budget because sometimes I work, sometimes I don't. My husband also has a part-time job that we don't know if it will be, he'll still be working it this year. So I don't want to calculate that. So this discrepancy means that I either need to cut out $945 out of my budget to make it an every dollar budget, or I need to come up with a plan to bring in incremental income to offset this. So we're still weighing it out. So every year we go through all of our fixed expenses and we look at where can we cut down. So whether it be insurance, medical insurance definitely is a conversation we have daily. But are there other things that we can pull out of our budget that are not necessary, but then also still have the quality of life that we're looking for? So that is what we're in the project of right now. I call it a deep dive. He calls it a painful conversation because, we're very used to having money to kind of do what we want to do with. And this is a little bit different. I know we worked our whole life and set up for retirement and paid off all of our debt, so that we were debt free when we retired. But it doesn't allow really for a lot of the cost of living increases that we've experienced lately, and medical insurance. By retiring before Medicare and not having insurance in retirement, it did create more of a budget conversation. So either one of us goes back to work, which probably isn't going to happen, or we pull a little bit more out of our pensions, or we compensate that with some incremental income. So still a conversation, not always a pretty conversation to have, but I don't see any other way. I mean, we live a pretty easy lifestyle. We don't do a lot of great, big vacations. We don't do, we don't buy cars. We pay cash for cars, things like that. So I'm not really sure yet where we are going to cut through this, but we're going to figure it out. So that's where my 2025 looks like right now. Again, not that pretty, but I'm going to roll right into setting up my January budget because that one does need to be done. Today is the 29th. Okay, let me see. Where is that formed? Okay, so this will be my, and normally I don't take you through this sheet. I used to all the time, and then I decided that you guys could probably all do it yourself. I'm going to pull this back just a little bit. So the way I set up my budget is I first run it through an Excel program that kind of just, it's so repetitive at this point because my expenses don't change a lot. But I do pull it through this Excel program. This is actually one that's just in the Excel program. I am trying to convert this to a Google Sheet document just to allow you guys to have it. You can always request this one from me. It's just a blank one that you can fill in your own categories. I just take all my categories out. So I'm just going to take this information and transfer it just so that you can see what I'm doing. So for income, my husband and I both get paid once a month, and it is, again, a pension draw. It's $39.18 for each of us. My daughter's on a pause with her phone bill. And then I don't budget incremental income because it can change, so I don't want to count on it. So $78.36 is our total income that we bring home each month. $78.36. Now, we do spend $140 a month on landscaping. Our phone is $135. Electricity, I am budgeting the $260. Our water trash bill this month was $104. Southwest gas, I did budget the $88. It's been very cold. Well, cold for us. Let me just clarify that. Internet is $120. DirecTV is $130. Netflix is $17. HBO Plus is $11. Hulu is $21. Our life insurance for both of us is $106. Our gym is $70. I have a pause on Playzona. That's for my granddaughter. Our car wash is $25. Medical insurance, $1,838. And I contribute $100 to my granddaughter's $529. Our homeowner's insurance, I pull out $150. Auto insurance, I pull out $400. And our property tax, I pull out for $400. Our HOA is due this month, but I do have kind of a sinking fund, so I'm going to just pull out the $105, and then I've already rolled over the other money that was in the envelope. Pest control, I'm overfunded, so excuse my voice. I've been very sick. 104, 88, 120, 130, 17, 11, 21, 106, 70, 25, 18, 1838, 100. So 3162, and then 150, 40, 400. I wish it was 40. 400 and 105 is 1,055 plus the 3162, 4,217. Is that right? Oh, because auto insurance was $375, not $400. So what happens when you think you know the numbers? 175, 375, 400, property tax. Oh, I do have a new one on here. It's a water service, and that's 70. Okay, I'm just gonna take my math from over here. So 4290. Okay, so those are my fixed expenses. So I'm gonna just take this number and put it up here, 4290. Lifestyle, groceries, I have planned 600, eating out 300. Spending 200. My mom, I rolled hers over, so just $4. Entertainment 100. Miscellaneous 50. Personal care 300. I am getting my hair cut and colored in January. Household 100. Gas 300, and medicine 100. For Coffee Monster Co. / planning, I did plan $37. No. I took that out of sinking funds. Elements is 80, and Audible is 17. So those together, I really need to update this sheet. I have iCloud storage for 10. I did do 20 from Coffee Monster Co. Thought I did, but Patreon is 9. And Microsoft 360. 365 is 10. So the total here, just have to take my word for it, $21.99. $21.99 goes up to lifestyle. So lifestyle is something I can cut back if I need to. Fixed expenses, I can't really, unless I get rid of something, they're pretty much going to be there. So that leaves me with $42.90 plus $21.99 minus our income of $78.36 leaves me with sinking funds of $1,347. So when I break out my sinking funds, car maintenance, I need to get tires, so I've been putting $300 away for that. Christmas, I always fund at $300. Medical at $100. I'm not funding a lot of these other ones, unfortunately, right now. My envelopes, which are my birthdays and things like that, the total for my envelopes was $647, and I'll show you what those were in just a moment. So that should take me to the 300 plus 300 plus 647 plus 100, 1347. So everything is accounted for. And so when I look at my sinking funds, I look at what has to be funded and what can I skip. So like I did skip a few this time. I skipped clothing, I skipped pest control, things like that, because they were already had money there. So when I look at when I look at my sinking funds, these are kind of the ones I fund every month. Car registration. I'm funding my anniversary because that's coming up in February. Birthdays for family, things like that, I always fund. I'm putting money in Liam's. That's my daughter's dog because he needs his shots. Date night, I try to always fund. And then I pull the money out for the annual bills. That's not part of my sinking funds because those are accounted for in my bills. But Christmas I fund year round. Car maintenance I've been having to because my car just came out of warranty, which makes me very sad. But things like that, like I know that they're coming. My car registration is due in September. When I take what I paid last year, I divide it by 12 months and I start funding it right away. That way, when those bigger bills come up, I'm not stressed about it. So that's kind of how I set up my January budget. And then what I do from that is I go to this form and I look at what do I need to pull out in cash. So this particular one are all the categories that I fund in cash and the denomination. So that's these two numbers need to match. So the 2,791, which is what I need to fund my envelopes, needs to also equal this, which it does. So 2,791. Then it just adds up, like how many $100 bills do I need, how many 50s, 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s. I plug in what's in my back-to-bank money. This is my back-to-bank money. This is money that I took out of my envelopes. Let me pull this back. It's just going to be... Don't want to make you nauseous with that. So this is all the money that I pulled out of my envelopes. That is my back-to-bank category. So my back-to-bank really, instead of putting this back and pulling it back out, I just keep this kind of a running amount over here. So what I have over here to go to fund the next month is $1,932. So I just write in, I plug in how many I have of each $100 bills, 50s, etc. Then it calculates how many I need to pull out and what that dollar value is. So I need to pull out $859 from my checking account to fund January's envelopes. this system, while it seems like, okay, there's a lot of work, you're putting money in, you're taking money out, you're going to the bank, you're getting certain denominations, totally understand thought process there. There's a lot of people that will use digital envelopes. I personally like to see the cash go in and out. That's how my mind works. And this budgeting system has served me well. But again, you know, everybody, your budget's very personal. It's very, you need to do what works for you and your family. So, you know, this video is in no way to tell you that this is the way you need to budget. I'm telling you this is how I budget. That's worked well for me. Take that for what it is. So from here, then I will, well, today's Sunday, so I'm not going to do today, obviously. I will pull out $859. I'll take my cash card. I'll fill that in. Let me see if I even have one in here. Never can find that beginning of the month. I'll find a cash card. I'll fill that in. And then I just take my dry erase. I write this in. I go to the bank. I hand it to them at the bank. And that's how I pull out the cash. And then I'll come back and do a cash stuffing video for the month of January when we start. The only thing I have left from finishing out my December budget, I did a video on that earlier, is I am working on a savings challenge for the month of, well, actually for the year. So my goal with this savings challenge is to not pull cash for it. It's just this will be funded from my cash envelopes. So when I got done, I pulled some additional cash for the next couple of days of the month that I had left. I did leave some money in my envelopes to help offset some of January. And that left me with $110 that I could take from my envelopes to start to fund this. So the way I broke this out, it does roll to $2,000. So for January, if I was doing it weekly, which I could do, it would be $25 a week. But for the whole month, it's $110. So I'm just going to take the $100 bill. I'm going to flip that around so I know that January is funded. And I'm going to just slip this in here. And then I still had 10 left over, so I'm going to put that in my February. I'm going to put it behind the February because it's obviously not funded. So for February, it's $200. So right now I have 10, so I still need $190. So my goal is just, again, to not pull this money out of my budget, but to just be very conscious of what I'm spending in categories that I have some flexibility, like eating out, spending, entertainment, household, things like that, and put it in here so that at the end of the year I'll have $2,000 in cash to play with. So that will be probably, unfortunately, the only savings challenge that I will be doing this year, unless something drastically changes with our incomes or our bills. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. I'm very excited to be back into the Erin Condren planner for my budget for this year. This system works for me. I've already set up the January budget in here. Then I'll transfer the information from my forms over. But just to kind of give you an idea of how I've set this up. So the calendar view, I will be putting transactions on. Then this will be my fixed expenses. I do have some goals for this this month to have 15 no spend days, incremental income of 600, and then savings challenge, which you saw for the month of February, was 200. So each one of these little dots was $10. So I will highlight one that I already put $10 towards that. I'll list all my fixed expenses, income. I think the thing that's hard for me at this point in my life is that my income is set. So I really have to just come to terms with that I don't have those, my husband can't work overtime. I'm not working extra hours, anything like that. And then our monthly budget, which is what I call lifestyle, which is like groceries, things like that. And then this will be my weekly check-in. and then my transaction log. So unfortunately I have 4 pages for transaction log. I pretty much fill one up each week. All of my bill money I do not pull out in cash. I do leave it in my account. I transfer it from my checking account onto my Capital One card because all of my bills, where I can, are billed to my credit card. The only time I do not bill them to my credit card is when they charge me fees for doing that, like my auto insurance, things like that. That goes into a savings account in Capital One, and then I transfer it back into my checking account when those bills are due. And the reason why I do that is it is a much higher yield interest in my Capital One savings accounts than it is in my credit union. And then this will be for my sinking fund. So I'll list all the sinking funds that I'm funding, what the starting balance was, what I added, what I used, and what my ending balance was. So not every single sinking fund will be written down here, just the ones that I funded. And then it'll take me right into my February. So that's how I have set up my budget for years. The last 2 years I've tried to do it more on just like the computer sheets and putting them into a binder, but honestly I really had missed the Erin Condren, so I'm trying to get that out of the ring light. So that is everything for January. I will be back with a cash stuffing for January, probably on Monday or Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching. Please have a good and happy and healthy new year, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.